have something to look at.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to thank everybody and welcome to the reception for the NewNow. I'm Mindy Tousley. I'm the Executive Director here at the Artists Archives of the Western Reserve. I think most of you probably know me by now. I'd like to take a minute before we start to just thank our funders, the Bernice and David E. Davis Art Foundation, the Cleveland Foundation, the Gunn Foundation, the Zufall Foundation, the Ohio Arts Council, and the people of Cuyahoga County through Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. I'd also like to thank our community partners who help us put this exhibition on for the past 7 years, I think, Tri-C East. And we do have some people here from Tri-C East, as if this was an actual reception. We're going to talk to you a little bit tonight.
Mindy, just so you know, it should be on Facebook Live and we are recording, so we should be
great. And my husband says he sees it, so we're good to go.
Thanks, husband Peter.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for coming in. I'm just going to turn it over to Megan for a minute, and she is going to just go over a couple of housekeeping issues for Zoom for you guys.
All right, let me get myself, there we go. So hi everybody, welcome to our Zoom program. Wow, we are Blockbuster and we have over 100 people on and we're streaming to Facebook Live, which is fantastic. So all of you are probably painfully familiar with Zoom at this point, but there's a couple of functions for a webinar we want to make sure to share and tell you a little bit about the Q&A. So first off, for webinar, we'll be hopefully taking care of the view. That means that we'll be able to get the active speaker versus gallery view for you. If you have any problems at any time, put them in the chat, and Kelly Pontone, one of our wonderful, faithful AAWR staff will take care of that. So great thing is that questions. We will be trying, very tight schedule tonight, but we'll hopefully get to some audience Q&A. How that's going to work is you can either pop your question in the chat using the chat icon that has two little bubbles, kind of like cartoon bubbles. Go ahead and put your question in there and preface it for the artist or person you'd like that question to be directed towards. Another thing is when the program is done, you could also raise your hand and I can call on you live. So probably time permitting, we'll just be able to hear you and not see you, but we'll be able to do questions that way. Outside of that, we'll be having wonderful remarks and Mindy will let you know all about it. And I'd like to take a moment to actually introduce Mindy because she's going to be running the rest of the program. Mindy, as she mentioned, is the AAWR Executive Director. She's also a professional practicing artist and fun fact, by blind jurying, Mindy's also in the show as well, so you can take a peek. We're going to be putting a link to the gallery in the chat so you can actually look at the exhibition as people are talking and sort of know what we're looking at. Outside of that, thank you so much for coming here tonight. Any questions, just let us know and sit back and enjoy the ride. Here is Mindy Tousley.
Thanks, Megan. Appreciate that. Thanks everybody for being a little bit patient with us while we get to some of the technical bugs. I'd also like to introduce our collections registrar, Kelly Pontone. Kelly runs tech for us on these things besides her hat that she wears in collections. And tonight we have with us Stuart Pearl, our board president. From our community partners at Tri-C East, we have Paul Cox, the Dean of Creative Arts, Connie Edwards, the Associate Dean, Blake Cook, the Director of Tri-C's Gallery East, and Terri Patton, the Gallery Coordinator. So while I talk to you, I'm going to be sharing my screen and I'm going to show you all the work that is in the show. 2021 marks the 4th year for the NewNow exhibition. I will just say that 2020 has been an extraordinary year for all of us, and I don't think I need to say any more about that. While we did reopen our home gallery space in June of 2020, our partner for the presentation of this exhibition, Cuyahoga Community College, remains closed to the public. It really breaks my heart to have this exhibition only on the internet. But after several long discussions between our exhibition committee and Tri-C, and postponing several times the opening for the exhibition, we decided that it would be a bigger disservice to the artists to just continue to postpone it rather than launching it virtually. So we have made a catalog for the exhibition. And you can see here, this is a sample page. This is Raymond Bugowski's work. So you're not going to see his in the rest of the presentation because you're seeing it right now. And the production of this catalog is our gift to the artists for the patience in waiting for this decision to go virtual. Each artist is going to get 2 free copies of the catalog. And for the first time, where it's a full color catalog featuring all of the artists in the show, all of their works in the show. Normally we produce a catalog where we just feature the works from the award winners. So the catalog will be in the gallery after next week. You can pre-order it from us, and there'll be some information at the end of the reception about that. Go in here. So the work in this exhibition is really beautiful. I don't know where to put myself here so you can see it. I'm gonna like make myself really small. There you go. So you don't have to see me. The work in the exhibition is beautiful. I'd really like to thank all the artists who submitted, and I would like to congratulate those whose work actually was selected for the show. I'd especially like to thank Cat Sheridan, the director of the Ohio Arts Council's Riffe Galley, for agreeing to take on the task of looking through the 540 entries submitted by the 140 artists to bring this exhibition to life. She selected a really stunning exhibition of quality work. And she, along with the artists, graciously bore with us through postponements and cancellations. I'd also like to thank my exhibition committee, Christy Kopez, Marty Higgins, Lisa Kenyon, George Kokar, Barb Gillette, Bonnie Gordon, Stuart Pearl, and our exhibition chair, John Sargent III. The rest of the AAWR staff deserves a big, huge thank you. Megan Elks, our manager of marketing and programming, and collections registrar, Kelly Pontone. Also collections intern, Nick Burney, and Phoebe Nowak, who's our Studio Institute intern, who designed the catalog for this year. And as you can see, as we flip through, there's a great variety of work. I have it alphabetized, but strangely enough, it seems to flow together pretty well, even though you're just seeing it in alphabetical order. I'd also like to extend my deepest appreciation to Tri-C Eastern Campus for partnering with us since 2014. We have produced this show biannually, but as you know, we used to produce the photo show in between the NewNow show. The Tri-C staff worked really, really hard to make this show happen, and their gallery is beautiful. It was just renovated, and we're all really sorry that you're not seeing the show in the gallery. It's been a really amazing, mutually beneficial 7-year collaboration, and we're looking forward to working with them in the future when the exhibition can once again be presented in their gallery space. In the gallery space at Tri-C, it's enjoyed by the Tri-C students, the teachers, and the public, which is really important to us as a community partner to get this work out there where it can be used as a teaching tool, an educational tool. So as I continue to flip through these pictures, you can see we had a great amount of 3-dimensional work that was entered this year, which makes it really doubly sad that it's not in the gallery. Some of the 3-dimensional work, you'll see I might have a couple slides just so you can get an idea of what those pieces look like. I don't have any extra information here on the type of work that you're seeing, but it is live now on our website, as Megan said. So if you want to go up to the website, you can check it out there. And you will also be able to buy a catalog and have it for your very own. And then you'll be able to read the artist statements and their biographies. Okay. And I just want to point out, this is the back cover on the right of the catalog. And Judy Takish actually got 2 pieces. She's the only artist who had 2 pieces in the show, and this is one of them. And the front cover that you were looking at when we first started was by Dante Rodriguez. And so now I would like to turn the program over to Paul Cox, and he's going to say a few words and hopefully introduce the rest of his staff. I am going to unmute them, or actually Megan will have to ask them to unmute. And you guys can say a few words. Thank you, Paul, so much. Thank you for joining us. I really
Thank you. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you so much. And the show looks beautiful. I really do want to first apologize. In the end, it's probably my delay in making a final decision on whether to run a show in person. I tend to wait a little too long because I suffer from optimism, and then we have to confer with our risk management team, and then we get the lecture about what the governor wants and social distancing and all of these things. And we just decided it would be safest to be virtual, as we were with our Jazz Fest this year. But sometimes good things come from these kinds of constraints, and we wind up reaching larger audiences across a wider geographic range. So looks like we have a lot of people here. Welcome to this wonderful virtual exhibition. So yeah, over 7 years, we've done exhibitions at Tri-C East, including 2019's Made in Cleveland, Photo Now in 2017, and Photo Now in 2015. I also want to offer my deep felt thanks to Mindy for her help on the exhibition honoring Roy Bigler in December 2015. Roy was our manager of the East Gallery until he passed suddenly and unexpectedly in 2014, and that was a wonderful show. Finally, I also want to thank the Artists Archives of the Western Reserve for including our students in Carrie Davis's Seen Unseen exhibition in 2019, including our students in Conversations with Carrie Davis. That was a high point for us. We rented a bus that day, and we went to the CMA first and got a lecture on African American art there, and then we came over to the Artists Archives and met him, and I think they were so thrilled. We were all thrilled, but the students got to spend some time with him and also with the other artists that were on site that day. It was an amazing day, so thank you for that. I just, finally wanted to say, we look forward to meeting again face to face once everybody's vaccinated and healthy. I think, as I mentioned earlier at the top of the show, that I personally believe that the whole act of meeting face to face is going to be really fresh again, because we've been doing all of these Zoom and WebEx and Google Classroom meetings and whatnot, and we've been wearing masks, and we haven't been able to be with each other looking at art for a long time, and that's really painful. But I think when we get through this, it'll be really fresh again. So with that, I want to turn it over to Blake Cook, our esteemed professor of art at the Eastern Campus. He's going to talk a little bit about some of the developments that the faculty have made during the COVID shutdown, working remotely. He has done amazing drawing tutorials, and now he has a massive catalog of tutorials for students online. And after that, we'll hear from Terri Patton, our gallery coordinator. Okay, over to you, Blake.
Thanks, Paul. And I want to agree with everything you said, including the fact that it's all your fault. We're not in school because it's your fault. No, it was unavoidable, and we do miss collaborating with you guys. It's been a long year, and we look forward to getting together again, and particularly after seeing the show. Powerful work. great. Cat, you did a great job choosing the show. Beautiful stuff. And of course, the artists did a pretty good job with it themselves as well. So really wonderful. And it'd be, Mindy, I echo your lament as well after seeing the show, not, being there in person, but we move on, right? As is the case, with education as well. And as Paul mentioned, I teach at the school as well. And it has been, a challenge, certainly. And all educators will tell you that, from kindergarten, preschool on up, of course, we're all kind of suffering through this in terms of education. But we have been able to kind of develop a methodology that has been rather successful, I think, using online video, making our own videos, also live interface. The one challenge, of course, in terms of the art department is this idea of fidelity to image, right? As we all know, Zoom or any of these platforms aren't the best in the world. In terms of viewing imagery. So that has been a challenge in terms of teaching students how to photograph their work and document it so that we can get some good pictures and get some good feedback. But it's been really successful. So, as a positive outcome in terms of the school, that's been one positive thing. Students start to think about how to take pictures of their work and document it, and, so that they can interface with the public more than they did in the past in terms of just being in a gallery space, for instance. And I also miss the fact that we're not having the show in the gallery space, but again, the students will be able to witness virtually. But because this show is always a really important show for us due to the fact that it deals with contemporary issues and contemporary methodologies in terms of art. That's very important for our student body because a lot of the students that come in there are just kind of getting their feet wet, just starting to learn the foundations and the fundamentals. So this show I've always thought was one that was really important for them to witness and has been a wonderful learning tool. So in that regard, we miss it very much as well. But like I said, there's always the virtual side of things. So once once everything's done, we'll be able to get back together again and share space and our each other's presence, and that will be a wonderful thing. And I do look forward to that. So, without further ado, Terri, Patton, my co-collaborator, Connie, I don't know, Paul, did you introduce Connie? Connie, did you raise your hand? You raised your hand, right? Connie, did you say something?
I did not. You all are doing so beautifully.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Connie Edwards is our Associate Dean of Creative Arts at Tri-C. So she's relatively new.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. And,
yeah.
And certainly a welcome addition. Yeah, definitely. And Terri Patton is kind of my collaborator in crime, I guess you could say. Assistant, yeah. I would say shared director of the gallery probably would be a good title for her and myself. So she wants to say a few things, and then we'll bring it back to you guys, Mindy. And again, we appreciate all that you do. You have worked so hard on this, and all the stuff you do outside of this exhibition as well in the community is phenomenal. We really appreciate that. Terri?
Okay, I'm so glad you guys went before me, because now all I have to do is say I echo all of that and some, because I do miss being in the gallery and being able to connect with all the people. The Artist Archive show that we would start our season out when we come back in September, we would always start out with the Artist Archives show. And I do miss that. And but I am really happy to be on this Zoom event, because this is exciting too. You get to see everybody again, like Paul said, without masks, and to get a glimpse of the artwork that is in the show, and hopefully, at some point get to see some of the work in person someday. I believe I'm like a hopeless, optimistic person too. I think that possibly we may open in the fall, but we just never know. But I am thankful to Mindy, to Megan, to Kelly, Paul, Stuart Pearl, and Connie and Blake And Cat Sheridan, you did a great job during the show. And I'm just going to say, I'm happy to be here. And all the folks that know me that are here at the show, hey, 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 I'm happy that y'all got on. It's me. It's me. I can't see you, but I'm really happy that you're here. And hopefully I'll talk to you all soon. But back to Mindy.
Thanks. Thanks, Terri. So it's my great pleasure now, and I'm so happy that she could be with us tonight to introduce Cat Sheridan, who was the juror for this show. Cat, you're very brave. You are the first juror that we've had who's actually going to be live at the opening. Now, I hope that that's mostly because they've been out of town. And, you know, one of the advantages of Zoom is that you can be here even though you're not here. So thank you so much for the wonderful job you did. And I'm just going to turn it over to you so you can say a few words, and maybe people have questions for you, which we can answer at the end.
Absolutely. First, thank you so much for reaching out and offering this amazing opportunity to get to know the artists of the Western Reserve. So this is my second year as the gallery director for the Ohio Arts Council's Riffe Gallery. And a really big initiative for me personally is learning the artists of the state. So having this particular opportunity was just really welcome. The other thing that I thought was pretty phenomenal is, yes, 2020 was a watershed year in so many ways, you know, stretching us all out of our comfort zones and pushing us up against walls we didn't know existed. And so getting to review and select work to tell a story of this now was an incredible honor. You know, winnowing down from 540 to 65 pieces is a tough job. And Mindy gave me a lot of time to do it. So I started in, I looked at all of the work, and then I dreamt about it. And then the things that would just not leave me alone, like they had just this resonance and this need to interact with other pieces. A really important thing for me when selecting work is not only the phenomenal craft and people that are thinking differently and pushing concept, but also thinking about how pieces relate to each other, how they create a lasting narrative to deepen the experience for a viewer. And Mindy so graciously giving me the amount of time that she did to jury this show, I spent weeks selecting these pieces and would go back and forth and you know, it's always hard to remove things, but you have to get it down to that really, it's kind of like writing a phenomenal paper, right? You're going to start with a whole lot more words than what you need, and then you get it down. You still like those words that you cut out, but what you end up with that tells the right story. And I'm so honored to have been able to select these works. And I do wish that there was an opportunity to walk around, and I would absolutely be there in person. I would walk around and say, you know, these are the things I was seeing between these works, and this is the kind of conversation that I was excited about. And I did reference that in the jurors note that I shared with Mindy. I don't know if that's a part of the catalog or not.
It is.
Oh, perfect. So that those words are available, but I wanted to make sure that when folks were looking at the selection of these pieces, that they comprehended that it was more than just the piece. It was the piece in relation to many other pieces, and what stories can be linked and broadened and help us gain context. I thought about the fact that we were in this state of frenzy and remain in this state of frenzy, but also in a state of stasis. And so you'll see that reflected in a lot of the work. We have crisis reflected in a lot of the work. We have inner beauty and meditation reflected in a lot of the work. yeah, it was such an honor, and I'm in love with everything that's in the show. I would take it all home if I could.
That's very high praise indeed. Thank you, Kat. We're running ahead of schedule, so I know there's been people who've said, could you share the work again? So we're definitely going to have time to do that again, probably if you can hang on till the end of the program. So something that people have been waiting for is the announcement of the award winners. We've tried really hard to keep this secret until tonight. And our board president, Stuart Pearl, is here, and he's going to read off the award winners. We're going to start with the low awards and move up to the high awards. And as we do this, we hope that the artists who won the awards got on. I will tell you, Megan, that Stephen Yusko is on Facebook. He was not able to get onto the.
So I'm gonna try one thing. I just let Stephen know, Kelly, to let Stephen know as well. I'm going to, sorry, Jim, kick off my husband and see if Stephen can pop on real quick. So.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Stuart. And Stuart?
Well, good evening, everybody, and thanks for your patience for what's probably one of the more popular times in the evening. I've got the easy part. I get to give good news to people and just read from my little list here. So as Mindy indicated, again, I want to thank everybody for participating here and making this a success. Pleasure to meet you, Kat, Connie, yourself, familiar old faces, Terri, Blake, Paul, and of course my staff, Mindy, Kelly, and Megan. They're everybody working very hard to make this possible. Okay, so without ado, imagine a drum roll here. Our first award is honorable mention, and that's to Stephen Yusko for his work called This Space. And I don't know, Megan, were you able to maybe get him on?
I believe so. Hold on.
All right.
One moment, please.
Okay.
We're going to.
We're good for time, so.
Okay, thank you for your patience. Promote to panelist. All right, so Stephen, how about now? Do you think you would be able to, let me just check real quick. I'm gonna ask Stephen to unmute.
And I don't know, Megan, were you able to maybe?
Oh, there he is.
I'm on.
So, hold on. Hooray! I see you, Stephen. Thank you so much for bearing with me, and my husband will forgive me for kicking him off so that you could get on. Thank you for being here. All right, so Stephen, how about now? Do you think you would be able to? Let me just check real quick. I'm gonna ask Stephen to unmute.
I should be unmuted, I think. Can you
Yeah.
hear
Oh
me?
yeah,
We
it's
can
actually a
see him
delay.
too. Yep, so we're good. Stephen, do you want to say a few words?
Hold on. Hooray! I see you, Stuart. Thank you so much for bearing with me, and my husband will forgive me for kicking him off so that you.
Oh, there's a delay.
There's a huge delay, I think. So I'm just going to talk, and if it cuts off, then it'll cut off. So thank you so much for getting me on the call. I'm sorry about your husband, Megan. And,
Oh yeah, it's actually a delay.
Yep,
so
so we're good.
I
Stephen,
won't.
do you want to say a few words?
Sure. So I just wanted to say that this piece initially started out as, oh man, I'm hearing conversation from a few minutes ago. So I'm just going to say thank you. Delay, I think. So I'm just going to talk, and if it cuts off, then it'll cut off. So.
Oh, she said it's probably Facebook.
It is. It's the Facebook delay. It's like a 17-second delay. So that was interesting and confusing. So Stuart, let's turn it back to you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Stephen, pleasure seeing you. I've seen you at some of our openings, and now I can put the name to the face better. I appreciate the comments there. All right. Our next.
Many voices as well.
Okay. All right. Our next award is the Jurors Special Award, and that's in the amount of $250, and that goes to Kimberly Chapman for Ghost Ship Duo. And do we have Kimberly there for a few words?
Well, I think Megan's trying to get her to come on, so we'll just give her a minute. This piece is porcelain. It is hand built, and so it is a ceramic sculpture. I will just tell you that briefly about it. Kimberly has a number of shows coming up that she was just talking with me about a couple of days ago. So you guys will have to look for that if you're following her on her social media. I will read a little bit from her statement while Megan's trying to get her on. My work tells cruel tales about the historical mistreatment of humanity and what's left behind. Oh, are you on? Great. And I'll stop reading about your work. You can do it.
I'm not sure. Am I on? Can anyone see me? Okay.
You are.
I can't see me, but this was so nice. Thank you so much. I just wanted to thank Cat and Tracy and Artist Archives. These two little pieces are all about the refugee crisis and what thousands or millions of people are going through on their perilous voyages in hope for a better future. And they're very thin and delicate and skeletal, like the journeys they endure. Thank you so much. I'm so pleased.
Hey, Kimberly, thank you very much for those words there. Can you give us an idea of size of these pieces?
Yes, they're about, I would say about a foot and a half long, and maybe if you count the oars, probably about 10 inches wide.
Okay, thank you. That's very, very helpful just looking at it on screen like that. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Okay, now we're slowly moving on to our next award. This is the second runner-up by Jackie Sajewski. I think I pronounced that right, I hope. Okay. And this is a $250 award, and it's called, very appropriately, COVID Fears. And Jackie, are you there to make a couple of comments? I hope, because I know there's probably some very interesting backstory on this.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'd like to thank Cat and the Artist Archive of the Western Reserve. I'm so surprised and thrilled, and I can't wait to see all the pieces. I love seeing the pieces through the quick overview, and I'm just amazed at the artwork, and kind of pulls at my heart thinking that I can't see some of these pieces in person, but it's so nice to be able to see the photographs, and I look forward to receiving the book. So thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. Now, Jackie, they almost look familiar. Do we know the models in your photograph here?
Well, those are 87-year-old mother and my 90-year-old dad. And this was right when COVID was breaking. And there was a lot on the news as far as to keep your hands away from your face. So these really weren't to keep out germs, but it was to keep, my dad came up with this idea. He was an old engineer, retired engineer, but he, there's vinyl over their face mask there, and to keep them from touching their face. And they were walking in downtown Cleveland. And I just, at the time we were kind of thinking it was, a short phase that was going to go through. I wanted to kind of capture some of the fears of the day, but sad that it's still going on after a year.
Well, as one photographer to another, it's a very memorable visual, and it kind of sticks with you. I think very effectively done. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our next one. This is the first runner-up, and this goes to Marijuan Feronachi. It's a $500 award prize, and her piece is called Coming Through. And do we have Marijuan on?
Yes, I've asked Marijuan to unmute and start her video, but she is with us.
Excellent.
So go ahead, I'm going to ask you to unmute one more time, Marijuan. Looks like she's having trouble unmuting. Oh,
So while we're waiting for Marilyn, I can give you some information on this piece. This is 48 by 48 inches. Marilyn does paint fairly large and has for years. She's really known for that.
mm. And then Marilyn, it looks like we can hear you. Go ahead and start your video as well, and we'll be able to see you too. Go ahead and try speaking, Marilyn. It looks like you're unmuted.
Oh, hi.
There we go. I think I hear a Marilyn back in the background.
Yeah, you're my background.
I'm your background. You're my background. And if you want, go ahead and unmute. You can start your video by clicking in the lower left-hand corner. We'll be able to see your smiling face as well.
Oh,
There you go.
I believe
oh,
it.
all I can say is I'm really pleased that I entered your show, because in the past, the Archive of Western Reserve has always had excellent exhibits at the Tri-C. So I'm pleased that I entered. And anyway, it turns out it's one of my favorite pieces that was selected of mine, to my surprise. But anyway, I don't know. This painting pretty much sums up most of my works, where there's a lot of energy, and there's also the opposite, where there's kind of a calming or a control elements that play against the energy. So that's about all I can say. Thank you very much.
Marilyn, was there any special inspiration for this, or anything going through your mind, or an event or anything, or this is just sort of how you roll?
I am an abstract art painter. I mean, I paint abstract paintings, and I have a tendency. I'm very overwhelming with my painting. I just like, I can't stop, and I keep painting and painting and painting. Sometimes I ruin a piece, but this happened to be one that it took me somewhere else intuitively. So I'm very pleased what happened.
Well, we're very glad that we have the fruition of your effort, and that you arranged for it to be in our show. And thank you very much for that.
And thank you. This has been pleasing.
All right. Okay. Now, wait for it. Okay. This is the top prize here. This is first place. Okay. And this goes to Judy Takish for her Venus, She's Got It, which is a $750 award. And I'm probably pretty sure that Judy's around to say a few words, because she's very familiar with the video and always broadcasting. So do we have Judy here?
We do. And Judy, all you have to do is get your camera going.
Is my camera? Oh, here we go.
Start video. Go.
Okay.
Excellent. Hey,
Judy.
How are you?
I can't even see I can't even see me. Thank you. I'm like stunned and amazed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am I love this painting so much. And I'm so glad that Cat Sheridan loved it too. And I just, I'm so honored to be in the show. And I wish that it was real and like a real live show. I'm stunned. Thank you. I'm speechless for once in my life, I guess. But if you want to hear all about this painting, I actually just did a Living Figuratively episode where I talked about it. And
please, we'd like to hear something about it.
Do you want to hear something about it? All right.
Sure.
Well, so basically it's part of my Goddess project, which is where I view the mythology of all religions through a contemporary feminist lens. And this one is actually my first painting from the Goddess project. It's called Venus, She's Got It. And I've reimagined Venus as a Black woman and more of a Prometheus character, where she's bringing her fire to the world. But it's like the fire of, seeking justice, and the fire of spreading light to the future generations. And one of the other details of the painting is that she's bringing it to the world, and her view of the world is from a completely different perspective, because we used to seeing the Earth with Europe and the United States and the Western countries up on top. Her perspective is with Africa on top, because, well, why the heck not? I mean, the universe is a bunch of balls flying around, and there's no up and there's no down. So that's basically my Venus character, and this painting kind of launched all the other Goddess Project pictures, which my other painting in the show is also a Goddess Project painting. It's my pro-choice painting based on the Michelangelo's David character, and I'm thrilled both of them got in the show, and I wish that it was at the Tri-C Gallery East, which is just the best, most gigantic, wonderful space. And I wish they were both right next to each other in that space. But right now they're right next to each other in my home, and and I'm thrilled to pieces. Thank you.
We're thrilled to have you here. And from my own, personal opinion, of course, your other major body of work that sticks in my mind, and you know what I'm going to say. Of course, it's
balls.
Absolutely. Would you consider this project as sort of the next evolutionary path from that?
Definitely. Yes, definitely. And I'm not going to say Chicks with Balls has totally run its course, because, I can do whatever I want, and I keep meeting amazing women. And I'm currently on the lookout for another set of amazing women for my next Goddess Project painting. But yeah, it definitely was a stepping stone for it. And one of the fun aspects of the Goddess Project is that there's so much more symbolism to work with. So it's not just, finding more new, improved, different balls. It's the whole of Western art, and the whole of, everything in the world is potentially something that I can work with. And there's such a wealth of, because I examine all the religions. It's not just Greek mythology where, nobody still believes in it, so it's all fun and games. I mean, I re-examine Christianity, Judaism, I'm putting the spotlight on all kinds of things and looking at things with a feminist viewpoint, and trying to, re-examine our foregone conclusions that we get from these ancient stories. So.
Okay. And one last question, then I'll shut up after that.
Okay.
Looking at Venus, to my eye, her hair appears animated. What is your spin on that?
Well, it was okay. She actually had some gorgeous braids. I added a lot more to it, kind of like what Botticelli did with his Venus, where she's coming out of the sea foam, out of the shell, and her hair is going all over the place. So I took a cue from Botticelli and from Renaissance art. It's decorative, and I think it just makes for a more interesting composition. And she's got the planet Venus behind her head, kind of like a halo, because there's lots of crossover between the various religions, where there's a lot of symbols that are the same. So I took the planet Venus and kind of made it like a halo for her. The other aspect of this, and I won't sing this for you, but as soon as I started thinking about Venus, I started thinking about the song, the by the Shocking Blues, the Goddess on the Mountaintop, that one. But I won't sing it for you, so everybody don't be scared. Which is why she's got the shocking blue background, and she's got the silver flame. I mean, it's not a silver flame because I wanted to make it look like a flame, so it's a golden flame. But that was also sort of running in the back of my mind the whole time I was working on the Venus painting, which is why it's called Venus. She's got it.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much. And
thank you. My gosh.
Definitely. Now we got it. So we appreciate that. All right. Thank you so much.
That's all I can ask.
Okay.
Thank you, Cat Sheridan. Thank you so much. I'm honored.
All right. And at this point, I guess according to my script, I turn things back over to Megan, who will then direct it in the proper direction, and I'm done. So.
Stuart, awesome. And thank you everybody for bearing with us on this technical gauntlet that we've gone through. So there's something about the digital community that's formed under adversity. So I think we're doing a good job there. Actually, Mindy Tousley was going to take things over for a bit. I believe, Mindy, if I'm correct, that you were going to go back under popular request, kind of show some of the works in the show a little slower, and then, but then we'll look at questions. Just a reminder for people for Q&A, what you'll be doing is using the Q&A function or raising your hand, and we'll call time permitting at the end. So here's Mindy Tousley.
Thanks, Megan. I'm going to share this from the beginning again, the slideshow, so you guys can see it again. And okay, it's not working. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so I can get that slideshow up and see what's going on with it. But are there any questions from the audience? Maybe we could do that, and then when I can get it going, I'll just jump in.
So actually, what I'm going to do, just a little, while Mindy's getting that set up.
Weird, I can't.
Judy, we're going to actually promote to panelist. So Judy, we're going to be able to hear you. So I have a question for you real quick. You're back on the block if you're willing. I'm going to ask you to unmute. And the question for you, Judy, is how large is this piece, and is it oil or acrylic?
It is oil. It is oil. It is 30 wide by 48 tall. And it's the same size, like all my Goddess Project paintings, except for a couple of them, are this same size, because it seems like I can show a full woman down to, a certain point without having to like go to the feet and stuff like that, and where it's manageable enough where I can ship it or transport it. Right now I don't have to ship them or transport them anywhere, but just in case I ever do. So yeah, 30 by 48, and it's oil. I always do oil. I don't know how to do acrylic.
Well, look at an oil. You don't need to do acrylic. They're amazing.
Well, it's a different mindset. So.
Oh, they're perfect. Oh, and it looks like thank you, Judy, for jumping in. You're always Johnny on the spot. And we'll go ahead and let Mindy kind of go through the slideshow and kind of illustrate it a little bit while we do it.
Wow.
All right, Miss Mindy, you're up for any remarks you want to make as well while you're going, if you'd like to.
I think I'm not going to say too much about the work as I go through. I'll just let everybody look at it and soak it in a little bit.
I love that even in the alphabetical order, you can start to see relationships happening. Like on the previous slide, there were things happening between the two. Here you can see the peak of this little house, and then the leaf, and here the body of the ceramics and the pig. Like these things start to kind of emit from these dualities. You can find these relationships and build story. Like imagining Donna Coleman's little folks, which I love using hand symbols, like because they're right next to this Queen Anne's lace, I imagine them being tiny people, right? Like there's something really fun and whimsical about those two being next to each other.
Yeah, it was fun putting this together. I thought about arranging it as if it had been installed in the gallery, actually arranging it, but what you're saying is really true. Like as I was putting the PowerPoint together, even just doing alphabetically, there were relationships and color relationships and form relationships forming. And I thought, wow, this is really great.
Yeah, this here too, like the body form. And then this is, I mean, the color. It's what I also really enjoy is I was able to dive deep into the titles of many of the works, and Ben Hauser's The Title means so much. So having that right next to something where the title is so evident with Saving Grace, there's just this really nice duality.
Are you sure you didn't curate this in alphabetical order?
You know, I did start moving it around in a PowerPoint and like putting things next to each other so that I could see like how things, this daylily piece, and there's another piece that's actually of a lily that's called crown something. We'll see it later. But those two next to each other, I was really excited about. But also the kind of tactility of Michael's behind the mask and the tactility of Marty's almost feels like a collage. It's just different materials, but similar kind of expression. It's exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these two. Yeah, the way Michael puts his work together in strips of clay and the way she does collage and paint on her paintings works really well together.
Yeah, they pull meaning out from one another, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
they do.
That's how that works. Yeah.
And then here you look at the light coming in and then like candles lit and that kind of conversation. One is very serene and calm, and the other is very tongue-in-cheek, but super smart. Like this is talking about our teachers, right? Like, how are they surviving? They are truly burning at both ends and still managing it. It's phenomenal. Oh yeah, this here.
Yeah, I don't know either of these two artists, but I am thinking maybe they are husband and wife. Their work looks really good.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. So you guys, if you're on right now, Ben and Molly, you can let us know in the chat if that's true or not. But I could see
ceramics probably, right?
I love that.
Yeah,
I see in the chat that you are correct. That says Kimberly Chapman says that yes, we have a husband and wife team here. Husband and wife, glass, and it's glass on the left.
Glass on the left and ceramics on the right.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah. These I really enjoyed. Yeah, I enjoyed the both of these have similar attention to how they apply their media that were really lovely, and having them next to each other. The landscapes in a portrait orientation make you think differently. Like it's so common to have a landscape as, you know, horizontal, but to flip it and then also have some design elements at the bottom. And then over with Wally's piece, having suggestions of a shirt that you finish with your eye. There's something happening in both of those where there are suggestions that make the viewer work and include you in it. Really enjoyable. Yeah. That was the girl with the sheep haunted me a lot. She came up in dreams.
Yeah. So I guess I maybe should point out that Clarissa Katz painted, this is a portrait of Terri Patton on the right.
Exactly.
That's wonderful.
Terri, your favorite.
I didn't do it on purpose. I love when folks use uncommon color to describe skin tone and have it still resonate as truth. That's always exciting to me. The displacement piece, man, I wanted to see that up close so bad. You know, all of these animals, they're so, you know, just really talking about what's happening in our world with climate change. And then George Coker, come on.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. These two are backed up against each other, and they're both, you know, socially relevant.
Absolutely.
In subject matter. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lisa, I know, does do her castings from real objects. Art.
Yeah.
So they're one of a kind pieces in bronze.
That's wonderful. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and here, you know, you can see the sort of crystal imagery coming on the right, and the molecule is repeated in Susan Krause's piece on the left.
It's really great. I love these connections and the elasticity of the language of these pieces as they're placed next to each other.
It might have been a hard show to set up because there are so many references between the pieces. And it might have been an easy show. I don't know. It might have been too many choices. This one is really obvious with the bondage here.
Absolutely.
The loops over here.
Yeah. I want to touch carousel so bad. Like, I know it's rough, but it feels like it's been underwater for ages.
Mhm. Yeah, and if you'd seen Bela's work in person, it's also very tactile.
I'm familiar. I had seen she had a piece in a biennial with the OAC's Riffe Gallery. And this too, I mean, that cross section of the planes, and then also the face and the duplicity of faces. I love trying to figure out where the landmarks of the one face overlaid to the other. And then are these planes trying to tell me something based on where they are? It's just, I did a lot of research on April 15th and I couldn't figure out what it was about, but I really liked it.
I think Barbara might still be on. If she is, she can tell us in the chat, because I don't think she addressed that so much in her statement.
I loved the idea of a cabinet of delights. Just thinking about what brings you joy in a time of isolation. And this really phenomenally crafted work. And then the Bob McNulty's waterships. I know that is like layer upon layer upon layer and then gouged out. And that relationship to one of the award winners just really resonated for me. I got super excited. And this was the complicated shadows, Civil War monuments, so relevant, particularly in the summer. As we watch social change, take root and shift the way that we think about how monuments uplift or don't or shouldn't. Really enjoyed that. And also it's like and exhale, tax day, of course. That makes sense. Thank you so much. Oh, that's perfect. So those that didn't see that, Barbara said that April 15th being tax day is the day that we pay for the war machines.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
The low tide, like that staccato of repetition, it's like it almost looks like little feet, and the color of that next to Charles's library bureau, like there's just these really that soft to hard. It's great.
Yeah, and the Library Bureau on the website, there is a link to a video on YouTube, so you can see the Library Bureau in action, because it does have lights, it does have sound. In the gallery, you would have been able to pull the drawers open and interact with it, which would have been great.
Yeah, there were a couple that had multiple kind of relationships. This is one I hadn't thought about, but that kind of nature pushing and making such a beautifully asymmetrical tree and documenting that kind of, you can't plan for that, but certainly to capture it is important. And the same with how thought forms. There's something there, right?
Yeah, I think there's something there in the way Ballard has handled the drawing part. There's kind of an awkwardness in it, and that's kind of repeated in the tree on the left. Plus the little sort of shading that she's got reminds me of the fogginess in the foggy morn.
Here too, I loved the way that these were uncommon silhouettes, like the shape of the face and how it accentuates a longer jaw. And then you see these lovely little crowned braids, and they almost felt like jewels coming out from the breast area. And then on the right with Don's piece, it's an uncommon pose to see. Uncommon to see that kind of contrapposto on a stool with blue jeans. Like there's layers there that I really enjoyed. At our position next to the view of the town from the highway. Just the fact that they're both referencing industrial, landscapes that support humans, but also kind of on the left, it's tongue in cheek, right? We're looking at letters in a landscape. I don't think that view from the town from the, sorry, that Christopher's is tongue in cheek. I think it's very kind of right on about the frenzy of city. And this is lovely. I could relate so much to The Waiting Man. Like that felt like now, right? Like that everybody give space. That's about 6 feet. And you know, that.
Yeah, these two together were strangely meditative, I thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Megan thing, waiting for heaven. Oh, these next to each other too.
Yeah.
They're so lovely.
And these worked really well next to each other too.
Mhm.
The will piece on the right, Will Sleigh Ball, interestingly enough, is very small. It's 1 by 3 inches, so it's much smaller than you're seeing it on your screen.
I got pretty excited about that when I saw that it was tiny.
Yeah, I wondered about that. I did call and ask him to confirm the size just to make sure. And then I thought about how that would look in the gallery, that one really tiny piece.
So intimate.
Great.
Like you could, yeah. It to have that within its own space and force the viewer to contemplate or choose, like you can't engage that as more than one person. It forces the viewer to have a different experience, which is, I think, is really interesting.
I'm really happy that you included that in the show, just because of the size thing.
Here, I think that's also a really smart pairing, these kind of top-heavy items and balancing them all together. Just, yeah. I enjoyed in your piece the compare and contrast, that we can see the method of your hand, but also not quite comprehend it because you've tricked it. The same happens in Gwen's work. Like how are you getting them all to stay there? But also thank you for being very funny.
Yeah, I will say that I have never entered this show before because of the idea of being involved in the archives and then entering the show. And at a certain point, I looked at the entries and there weren't many, and I thought, well, the archives could use some money, so I'll enter the show. And it is a blind entry, so the juror does not see whose name is on whose piece. But that did that was to cause me a little something in there.
This self-portrait and decision next to each other, also like that gray, so great. I love the cropping of that and seeing the delicate skin and highlighting that. It's like a respect for age that I think we should see more of.
Yeah, I'll bet the piece on the right you thought would have looked good with Harriet Ballard's painting, maybe. It seems that like that kind of contrast of large forms and really delicate things going on.
Mm-hmm. I love that it's scissors that have between them material that would be what they cut. So thinking about, cause and effect and action and what comes from action, just super smart piece.
Yes. This is the end. It's funny, these two ended up on the end too. They're both very exuberant, full. They're really full paintings, both of them.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And there's Judy Tacker's second piece, Trust Women.
Mindy?
Yes.
What was your piece made of? Was that wood or?
No, it's paper.
It's paper.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm a collage artist, so it's paper.
It really looked like it was solid, like wood and
that's
carving, like a wood carving kind of thing.
It looks like we got one hand up, so we can ask a question real quick before we wrap it up today. Oh, the hand is down. Mysterious. It went away.
Darn.
So I have one question in the
There was a
Q&A
question.
then, so we still have one. But we'll do it in a verbal asking. And this one's actually from one of the artists. It's Keegan Adams, and it's actually for Cat Sheridan. And it's Cat, I wonder what Cat's thoughts are on printmaking. Keegan obviously working the show as a printmaker, so I think he just wants you to elucidate a little.
Well, I'm very familiar, so I'm a trained artist. I went to school and received a BFA. So I'm very familiar and believe that printmaking is a very important piece of our artistic culture. So I'm not sure if the question was meant to get at something more than that, but I like it. I like printmaking.
Thumbs up all the way around.
Keegan, by the way, teaches at Tri-C, and we have a wonderful printmaking studio there, by the way. So just and we a lot of the stuff, a lot of beautiful stuff comes out of there. So we're big fans of printmaking, definitely. So.
Oh, neat. Awesome. And we've just, by the way, just to wrap it up, had wonderful sentiments the entire time to thank everybody at Tri-C. Everybody's been thanking them in the chat, been thanking Cat Sheridan, been thanking all the artists, Blake, Terri, and Paul who had to dip, and Connie. This is one that I think that a lot of people are sad that it didn't happen, but eternally grateful it happened in this manifestation. So everybody loves it. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Throw it to Mindy Tousley to do our sign off, but thank you all for being here tonight. It's been amazing.
Yeah, thanks again. Okay, well, I was going to share something else, but I guess not. Just, thanks again to everybody. Artists, thank you so much for participating. You're the backbone of everything that we do, and I want you to know that we really appreciate you. We appreciate all the effort you put into everything, your creativity and your imagination. You keep our culture going. So thanks, everybody. We're going to take off. Panelists, everybody wave goodbye.
Bye. It's good to see you
everybody.
all.
Bye. Good to see you guys too. Thanks, everybody, for coming on. There'll be a recording. It'll be available in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
And I almost failed, which is when you sign off, there'll be a survey. Do fill it out because this is how we get better, and it helps our funding and everything. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.